What is going on, guys? JT43 here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to replace spark plugs on a 2011 to 2016 Scion TC. I'm not going to waste any time here. I'm just going to jump right into it. You're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need your spark plugs, which I'll go more into depth on what you should be using. You're going to need some sort of extension. This one right here is kind of overkill, but something like this should be okay. And you're going to need a 5/8 spark plug socket with the rubber boot inside. And last but not least, you're gonna need a ratcheting wrench of some sort. So the first step is gonna be to pop up your hood. The area that we're mainly gonna be working in is this right here. So you have your 4 spark plug wires. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you have your spark plug boots, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first step is obviously going to be making sure that the car is off. And before I do anything with my engine, I make sure that my engine is cold. You don't want to be working with a hot engine. That's how you burn yourself, and that's how you fuck yourself up. So if you did just move your car to get to a place where you can work on it and it is a little hot, I do recommend letting it cool down a little bit. But if your engine is cold, the first step is going to be unplugging these guys right here. So all 4 of them. So now that all of them are unplugged, you're gonna go ahead and get a 10mm and you're gonna undo these guys. You're gonna do this one, this one, this one, and this one. Have those 10mm bolts out, I do advise putting them up here on your cowl and just kind of keeping them where they were. So this bolt went to this guy, this bolt went to that guy, and just kind of keeping everything in order. So now with this part, we're gonna want to unplug the boots from the spark plugs, but you want to do this individually. You don't want to unplug them and then put them away, because they do have to go back in the order that they were. So unless you're good with memory skills, I advise doing them one at a time. So how I'm gonna do it is individually. So I'm gonna go ahead, move this out of the way. I'm just gonna simply pull up and get this guy out of here and put it to the side, just like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and hook up my socket to my extension and then my extension to my wrench. Now that I got the extendo clip set up, I'm gonna go ahead and drop my extension into here very carefully. Grab onto the spark plug just like that, and then I'm going to carefully loosen. You don't want to strip anything in here. You don't want to strip the threads. You don't want to strip the spark plug in there, because that will ruin your fucking day. So please just be careful when loosening it. Just give it a little bit and it should come out. So now that I loosened the spark plug all the way, when I pull up, it should bring the spark plug up with it, and it did. So that's why I recommend using a spark plug socket, because it has the rubber boot inside of it. But now that I have the new spark plug out, I'm gonna go ahead and put the new spark plug in. Before I do that, I do wanna kinda look at the condition of the spark plug. So you can see right at the tip, this thing is pretty burnt and it's pretty corroded out. So if your spark plug looks anything like this, or your car is performing kind of poorly, I would recommend changing the spark plugs, because this is no bueno. Before I put the new spark plug in, I wanted to talk about the spark plugs that I'm going to be using. So these, I mean, you can tell by the package already, these are from Toyota. These are the OEM spark plugs that I got on Toyota.com. I do recommend going OEM on these. This was like, in total, it was like $8, and they are the exact fit. But yeah, I'll leave a link in the description. Once again, it's just the OEM ones from Toyota, which means that these are the spark plugs that came into the car from factory. So this is not no aftermarket bullshit. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and put the new socket in. So to put the new socket in, all I'm gonna do is put the new socket into the boot, and then I'm gonna put it back into the hole. With that, I got the new socket into the rubber boot, and now I'm just gonna carefully put it into the hole, and then slightly tighten it back down. Now when you are at the point where it's getting kind of tight, you just want to snug up the spark plug. You don't want to crank on them. You definitely don't want to strip them. So when you feel the engagement kind of getting tight, you just want to kind of snug them up. So I'll snug them up just like that. Now I have my new spark plug in. I can go ahead and put the boot back in, and it'll kind of just line up just like that. You want to match the holes with the thread. So when I push down just like that, and you can wiggle it too, it shouldn't really go anywhere. It should kind of sit in the place where you're gonna put the bolt back in. Once you have that done, you can move on to the next. Now that I have all my spark plugs changed, I'm gonna go ahead and put the bolts all back in. Okay, so now that all the bolts are tightened back down, you really just want them snug tight, you know what I mean? Just tighten them until they stop moving. You don't have to crank hard on them. But after that's done, we're gonna go ahead and plug these connections back in. Okay, now that all the connectors are plugged back in, when you do plug them in, you should hear a little click. And once you hear that click, that's how you know that it is securely plugged in. But after you're done with all that, that's pretty much it. That's how to do spark plugs on a 2011 to 2016 Scion TC. If you did enjoy the video, or if this helped you out in any way, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.